Hi, I just wanted to share a bit of my journey with you through the last month or so and finding out that I got ovarian cancer. Bit of a shock really, and during the time of COVID-19 as well, where everyone's in lockdown, even harder really because of not being able to have people with me at the hospital or visitors. Or it's been a really strange time and still is strange. I kind of feel like I'm in a bit of a dream and I'll wake up and it'll all be over, and it's not. Where do I begin really? My journey. Well, I hadn't been well for a while with acid reflux, actually, something to do with my stomach, and eating was a problem. And I'd been to the doctors regarding that, and the medication wasn't working, and they decided to put a camera down my throat to just check out what was going on. I had that done in January and a blood test in December, and then went to the doctors in February, and the camera down the throat just showed some inflammation, nothing sinister, nothing serious, and they couldn't really work out why the tablets weren't working. And the blood tests flagged up that I had high infection levels, and my blood cells or blood platelets or red cells or something were high. So they sent me for a repeat test. That came back pretty much the same, and then after that I saw the doctor, who sent for a more specific blood test to obviously try and single out where the infection was, because a general blood test wasn't going to tell them that. So I had that done, and then the nurse practitioner in my surgery got on the case very quickly and rang me and said I needed to go to gynae urgently as my CA125 levels were up. And that's the blood test that picks up ovarian cancer, sort of indicates that that might be the case, although it can be other things that cause that. So she did an urgent referral to gynae where I had an internal scan. That was just before we all went into lockdown. Had that internal scan which picked up there was a mass, and she forwarded me for an MRI scan, which happened on the 31st of March. So I had the MRI scan, and then on the Friday, so that could have only been the beginning of April, so 3rd of April, I got a call to go for a CT scan. Now at that stage, I didn't know why I was having a CT scan. I just got a call to go for one. My mind had already gone to a place where I was wondering what was going on, that something might be seriously wrong with all the tests I was having. Plus I'd lost some weight quicker than I'd planned to, or hadn't planned to. And my appetite had gone really, and I love my food, as most people that know me will know. I'd gone off lots of things. I couldn't eat very well. I just felt generally unwell in myself, and the weight loss was sort of kind of added to it, and it was quite considerable weight loss really. And so my mind started to go to places, and you start to sort of wonder to yourself, is this something more serious? Didn't really share my thinking, just kind of held it really. And carried on. And then we got into the Easter holidays, well, Easter break, Good Friday, Monday. And that was practically a week, since I'd had my scans. So I was thinking, I'm sure if it was anything, they would have rung me by now. And then we got to the Wednesday after Easter, so I can't remember what the date was, but anyway, it was that Wednesday. And I got a phone call. I was on a work team meeting and quickly jumped off of that, obviously working at home, and took the phone call from the hospital, where I received my news that kind of changed everything really, and was told that the results of my scans and tests had been discussed. A multidisciplinary team meeting, and unfortunately the mass that they'd seen was 10 centimetres or so, they thought, was cancer. They can't be 100% sure, of course, until they take things away and analyse them, but that was their thinking. So the consultant was lovely and said, you know, I don't like doing this over the phone, but with the current situation I can't do face to face. Well, you know, I went into shock, really, I suppose, hearing that word, cancer. Nobody wants to hear it. What do you do? It was at the back of my mind, but until it's confirmed or somebody says it, you don't really want to believe it. There it was. I was being told I had cancer. What did that mean? Scary. I went shaky, numb. Couldn't really kind of take in everything that was being said. Fortunately, because we were working from home, I was able to go to Grant, who was home, and handed him the phone. He was able to take on the information for me that I needed to hear from the doctor. Yeah, bit of a shock, really, to say the least. Then I had a phone call that afternoon from Guy's, consultant surgeon at Guy's, who told me that the best possible way to give me a cure was to operate as soon as possible, and that operation would involve a full hysterectomy, taking out my womb, cervix, fallopian tubes, obviously including the mass, and my scans showed some swollen lymph nodes as well, so obviously taking out lymph nodes in the pelvic area and going up higher to make sure that there was no spread of the cancer. Yeah, that was the Wednesday afternoon. A lot to take in. And he said it would need to be done the following week. So really didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I think this was the 16th, actually. It might have been the 16th of April, yeah. Wednesday the 16th. 15th of April, yeah. Wednesday the 15th of April. He said to me I'd get a call later on from their kind of admin team to tell me sort of what was next for my pre-op assessment and when the op date would be. And then got that call, and I was in on the Thursday the 16th for a pre-op assessment up at Guy's, and then told that my operation would be Monday, and had to be admitted to hospital on the Saturday, the 18th, because I had to have a COVID test to make sure I wasn't positive, because obviously they couldn't carry out the operation if I was. So it was just an added worry at this time, obviously, of being isolated and shut in. I was pretty low risk, but you worry about that. So from the Wednesday finding out I had the cancer to going into hospital was very short-lived. No time to really think about it, it just happened, so I went with it. You just end up on this kind of almost conveyor belt of things that need to happen. I can remember at my pre-op going to hospital, they were lovely, doing all that they needed to do, swabs and tests and blood tests, and just crying and just thinking, wow, this is real, this is happening. Couldn't have anyone go in with me because of the COVID. You have to go on your own. So I've been doing this on my own, although I've been supported, and it's just, you know, in the hospital on your own is quite hard. Then I went into hospital. I was blessed to be in the Guy's Cancer Centre private hospital. Because of COVID, the NHS are using the private hospitals So I had my own room, and that was kind of a bit like a hotel room to start with. It felt really nice. Soon got very boring, being shut in a room on your own for days on end, apart from nurses and healthcare assistants and people just doing their job brilliantly to look after me and to keep things clean and tidy and keep everyone safe. Then my operation took place on the Monday. My COVID test was negative, and I went down for surgery on Monday morning. Was absolutely not terrified, but just really nervous. I did feel scared but peaceful because I am a Christian. I have a faith. I believe in Jesus. I believe that God holds my life in his hands. I was being prayed for by many people that love me and care for me. And I spent a lot of time myself in hospital on the Sunday praying and worshipping and just crying out to God. And I knew that he was with me even in this time of uncertainty, of feeling like, why has this happened to me? I knew that he was with me. It's a strange thing to try and describe, but there's a verse that says peace that passes all understanding, and that's true. It does pass all understanding, because although I was anxious, I was also peaceful, if that makes sense. Anyway, I went down for my surgery and don't really remember much until I woke up again. And then, you have the surgery, and then the next day they try and get you out of bed. Oh my gosh. And I look at the scar as the nurse changes the wound, and I feel, look, flipping heck, there's a huge scar. It's not just a little thing. I'm in pain like I've never felt before. Wow. I mean, I can't even describe the pain. I've had everything taken away. And they also, the surgeon also told me that my mass was, over 10 centimetres and had attached itself to my bowel and stomach lining, and he'd managed to separate that without any damage or need for reconstructive surgery. So grateful for skilled surgeons, and for God using those surgeons to just bring about his healing. Amazing, really, because I could have had a bit of a bowel reconstruction. None of that. They took out the lymph nodes that were swollen and took out some other lymph nodes, obviously, to check for spread of the cancer. So then my sort of beginning to recover from the op starts, really. That time in hospital was just, how do I describe it? Lonely, scary. Being in a room on your own, facing an operation, not allowed any visitors. I could speak to people on the phone, obviously, but it's not quite the same as having people sitting next to your bed and just being there with you, maybe to hold your hand. That was really hard. Sorry, just that was hard. That was tough, really, feeling so isolated and alone. But I knew that I wasn't alone. I knew Jesus was with me, and I felt that. There were times in the night when I woke, or I felt scared, that I felt waves of peace come, and just a stillness that came to me, that I knew I wasn't alone. And I knew I was being prayed for and thought about by so many people. I never felt so much love coming through texts and messages as I have in that time. And that's overwhelming, really, to know how much you're loved and cared about and thought about by so many people, really. That was special. That was nice to know. Anyway, where am I? Sorry, I've lost my thinking for a minute. Yeah, so the hospital. Yeah, then the physios come. Oh my gosh, and try and get you out of bed. I never screamed or in pain so much. I can't believe that they try and get you out of bed so soon after an operation, but they do. They have to get you moving, and they're lovely. All the staff are lovely. The physios, the healthcare assistants, the nurses, the doctors. Everyone was wonderful. But oh my gosh, getting out of bed and trying to walk, shuffle, as I say, and sit on a chair and attached to drips and drain bags and catheters. Oh, there, horrible time. I look back and laugh because it just was the worst pain ever. And yeah, I never thought I'd get through that and recover, but I did, one day at a time. And I'm sitting here 3 weeks post-surgery laughing about it. But at the time I wasn't laughing, I can tell you I wasn't. Those of you that have had any kind of surgery like that will understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, and obviously get to wear some nice attractive stockings because of making sure you don't have any blood clots. So lovely hospital gown. Felt so lovely. Felt so attractive. Anyway. I was in hospital for that week, and I got told I could be discharged on the Friday. I was not feeling great, obviously felt quite nauseous, didn't want to eat. I think it was all the anaesthetic and I'd had an epidural to help with the pain, so the spinal block. So all of the drugs, I was on morphine for a while, all affected my body and my symptoms, my system. Grant came and collected me on the Friday. Oh, I shuffled out of that building, so glad to see daylight. I mean, I had a window, but you couldn't open it, and being in a room just with aircon, I just felt freedom of fresh air and sunshine and seeing another human being. And I cried and shuffled, and he said to me, "Oh, you look like Eunice, my mum." So I laughed. I was shuffling, and I did look like Mum, shuffling along like she used to in her later days when she wasn't so good. Anyway, I was glad to get home and be in my own surroundings. And I wasn't great for a few days. I was quite unwell, sick, and just feeling rough and tired. My appetite wasn't great. And I thought, am I ever going to feel like my appetite's returned and I just don't want to be sick anymore? But I think my body was just rejecting all the stuff, really. And I was quite emotional for a while when I got home, just the relief of being home and being with human beings again, with Megan, seeing Megan. And just being in my own surroundings, feeling safe again. Not that I wasn't safe, but just, there's something about being in your own home when it is safe that you feel okay. Yeah. So for a few days I was really sore, and over time, over the last sort of 3 weeks, that's sort of deteriorated, and I'm on hardly taking any painkillers now, which is great. I have to take these injections every day. I forgot about that. When I was in hospital, they were doing these injections in my thighs, which is blood thinners to stop blood clots, and that carries on when you get home. So for a month, I have to do my own injections in my thighs. I look a bit like a junkie of all these needle marks and bruises. Got my own sharps bucket, and I have to inject myself every night with these lovely little injections. They sting a bit, but you get used to it. Had a small pharmacy when I arrived home that's kind of depleted now as all the medication's finished. And then, my emotional roller coaster started with just crying and just speaking to family and friends, my sister, my dad, and just seeing them on FaceTime and not being able to have them visit or hug them, that's been really hard, really hard. I love my family, I'm close to my family. And it's really hard not to be able to see them and hug them and be with them, because I know they would be around here like a shot. My church family has been amazing. I've got some really, really close friends who have just walked this journey with me. Yeah, without who I couldn't really have done it. You know who you are. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for loving me and helping me. My sister Andrea, Emma. You've been amazing. All my family has been amazing. My dad. You know, I've been looked after at home by Grant and Megan. Typical teenager. She does what she wants when she will, but she's she's glad to have me home. And Shane, you know, it's hard not seeing him because he's not here with us. He lives somewhere else with his girlfriend and her mum, and yes, I've spoken to him quite a bit. And it's always really hard. You just want to hug your kids. But, you know, we're in strange times, so there's lots of people that can't see their families or hug them or cuddle them, so I'm not alone with that. My mother-in-law, Anne, as well. Just all these people you want to be close to and you can't. Anyway, being home, just recuperating has been nice. I've read some books, doing some knitting, sitting in the garden when it's nice, and yeah, I'm grateful to have a garden and enjoy being outside. And just spent time just worshipping and praying, just being still, asking God why. I don't understand why this has happened to me. I've had many trials through my life, as you know, people that are close to me will know. And I don't understand it. I know the Bible tells us that, you know, He doesn't promise Jesus when we become Christians, when we followers of Him, He doesn't promise us an easy life. He's never said, oh yeah, when you become a Christian, all your troubles go away. And that certainly isn't true. They don't. But I tell you what, the troubles are lighter because Jesus is in my life. They don't go away. The pain doesn't mean that it's not there, because it does. The pain's very real. Not just the physical pain, but the emotional pain, the trauma of just kind of everything happening so quickly. But just the emotional side of just it's huge. And that doesn't go away. But Jesus walks it with me. And do you know what? During this time, I've really felt more kind of, I don't know if one with Jesus is the kind of right way to say it, but just feeling more of a connection with Jesus' suffering and what He means when He says He understands our pain and suffering, because He's been there. You know, the reason He came and died was for our salvation, that we might have a chance at knowing Him and being in relationship with Him, being reconciled to God, and know forgiveness and freedom. But also, He understands our pain and suffering, because He went through pain and suffering. He was rejected, He was alone, He was crucified, He was whipped and broken for us. And I felt broken. And I'm a strong person. I'm a fighter. I'm resilient. I've got a strong faith. But I'm broken. And it's okay to be broken. I'm having to learn that. I love the broken. I work as a therapist, psychotherapist, with the broken. I've got a heart for the broken. But to be broken yourself is quite hard. And I am. I think this cancer's come on top of many other things, many things, and it's just taken me out, and I just don't understand it. And I think with the operation and knowing that I can't do anything for 6 to 8 weeks, the recovery time, I'm not allowed to do anything. And I'm a doer. Those of you that know me, I'm always on the go. I do things, I'm active. I like walking the dog, I like doing my gardening, but also I'll just get on and do things. They need to be done, I'll do it. And I'm not as good at just sitting and being still, and this time means I have to be. And during this time, it's just being and realising my brokenness, but actually how Jesus meets me in my brokenness. And I love him, and I thank him. And all my days are ordained by him. He knows my final breath. He knew I'd get the cancer. He knew it would come. I don't understand that. But he also, what I do know, is he allowed me to get diagnosis quickly and treatment quickly. And yeah, that's amazing, because it was so quick. And there's people I know during this time who have had cancer treatment stopped or haven't started, and I feel privileged and blessed to have actually been picked up and had this op and cleared it out. The next stage for me, I had my follow-up appointment at the hospital last week, and so they told me that my cancer had been cleared out. It's stage 3. Stage 3 cancer, which means it wasn't contained just to the ovary, it's spread out. It was in my lymph nodes on my right hand side of my pelvis, and into the fluid just around that area, but it wasn't in my left hand side lymph nodes, in my pelvis or my aortic lymph nodes, so that was really positive that it hadn't spread up there. The CT scan that I had didn't show anything visibly that had spread to my stomach or my chest area either. So yeah, cleared it all out surgically, but obviously they say that there's potential that small cells that aren't visible to the human eye can be there still, so chemo is required to kill off anything that's left. So I begin my chemo on the 18th of May, which is Monday coming. That was hard to take. I knew it was coming, but like anything, until they tell you finally, or in the, you hear, you don't sort of know that it's actually happening for real. You kind of hold off. And yeah, chemo. I'm a bit apprehensive. Don't start that till Monday. Just been given lots of information and told about the side effects of the drugs. Obviously, the main one is hair loss. Now, I did cry about that. Those of you that know me know my hair, curly hair. People know me by my hair. I'm always described, oh, Sarah, she's the one with the curly hair, oh, lovely hair. And I've grown to love my hair over the years. I didn't as a child, I hated it, but as I've got older, the curls have become me, and yeah, that's hard. I've had to come to terms with that. I know it doesn't define me as such. I am who I am from the inside. That's what defines me. And yeah, but your hair's your hair, and I don't really relish being bald, but it's going to happen. I'm going to lose it. Probably eyebrows and eyelashes as well. Quite weird, really. But it's a price to pay for being well, and I want to be well. I want the cancer to go completely. I want to fight this. I'm not going to give in to it. And it'll grow back. And I believe that, please God, give me curly hair again. Yeah. I'm going to get emotional because it does hit me. It's going to be hard. No lie. And there's other side effects. The tiredness, the low immunity, Chemo for me will be once every 3 weeks, and I have to have 6 cycles, so it's not quite once a month. And you just kind of begin to feel well and you start the next cycle. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time ahead. We'll see. I'll keep you posted on the chemo journey. But right now, yesterday, so today's Tuesday, so Monday yesterday, I was at the hospital again having a kidney function test. That was there for sort of 3 or 4 hours. No, 4 hours actually. It was a long day, quite tiring, but chatting to other people and took me knitting, and they have to just check your kidney function. It's all to do with the amount of chemo they give you and how they it's all to do with the chemo side, so that they know what to give you and how it affects your kidneys. And yeah, so feel poked and prodded around, bit of a pincushion at the moment. All the tests and blood tests and CT scans that I'll probably have to have, but you know, it's good. I feel looked after by the NHS. Amazing. I mean, they do an amazing job in this very difficult time as well. Under a really good hospital guys. You know, grateful to Grant for driving me backwards and forwards, even though he's working from home and he's having to sort of ferry me around up to Guy's every few days at the moment, it seems. Grateful to my family for ringing me, FaceTiming me, chatting to me. Grateful to my church family for providing meals for me and dropping them round for us as a family, which has really helped. For people sending me flowers and cards, for gifts that have just been given to me, you know, little surprises coming with meals. I just feel so loved and cared for. Yeah, it's amazing. My journey's not over yet, but it will be. And I'm going to come out the other side. I'm a fighter, and I've got God on my side. I believe he's got a purpose and a plan for my life. I believe that I'm not finished yet. And I truly do get what that verse, you know, for me to live is Christ, to die is gain. Yeah, to die is gain, but I'm not ready yet to die. I don't believe this is the end for me. I believe God still has things he wants me to do. And yeah, without my faith, I don't know where I'd be. I thank my mum and my dad for teaching me about Jesus from a child and modelling their faith in Jesus, their faithfulness, their passion for him, their trust in him through trials and tribulations too. And my mum, who, you know, we lost a couple of years ago nearly now, and who spent her last years with dementia, and that was really hard, losing mum a bit at a time and then obviously losing her. But you know, she loved Jesus, and I'm grateful to my mum for everything that she invested in me and taught me. I watched and I saw, most of all teaching me to pray and to just trust Jesus. One of her phrases was, whenever I used to go to something, was just pray, Sarah, we'll pray. So that's what I do. Thank you, Mum, for teaching me that, just to go to God with it. And I saw you doing that. I saw you reading your Bible. I saw you praying. I saw you trusting Jesus. You modelled something for me. You were passionate. Thank you, Mum, for that. Thank you, Dad, for just being my dad and teaching me godly ways and wisdom, and to trust and not give up. Both of you, Mum and Dad, thank you so much. Because I know that my well of faith comes from having that model, but I've built on that. And do you know what? We do have an enemy. We have an enemy that likes to try and distract us and throw things at us to knock us off course. But he's not going to do that. I won't be defeated. I won't give up my faith, because do you know what? My faith is the most important thing to me. Nothing else really matters apart from Jesus. I'm learning that so much more, that, you know, you can't take any of this with you. You can't take anything for granted. You don't know what's coming each day. I mean, none of us knew at the beginning of this year, in 2020, that COVID-19 would hit, and what would happen to us, as not only as a country, but, you know, across the world. None of us knew that was coming. I didn't know this cancer was coming. Each day matters. Each day counts. None of the possessions or things that we have count. And, you know, it doesn't mean we shouldn't have them. I like nice things, you know. It's not wrong to like nice things. I've got nice things. But at the end of the day, they don't really matter in all of this. Friendships matter. Yeah, friendships, family, relationships, they matter. Making memories matter. All of those things. Taking time to show kindness matters. To let somebody know you're thinking of them matters. To, yeah, just taking time to be kind to yourself, that matters. So to me, I'm learning many things, but without Jesus in my life as my rock, as my anchor, as my hope, I don't know where I'd be, really. People do fight, people are strong, but I have a hope, I have a purpose, I have a future. My hope is in Jesus. My faith, my hope and my love. Yeah. So thank you most of all to Jesus for being my saviour, my friend, my father, my comforter, my anchor, my rock, my fortress, place where I can find safety in this time, even though I don't understand it. He's still working. He knows. It's not wrong to question why. And I have, trust me, many times over the last year or so, particularly recently. But the whys are okay. Yeah. Just taking a pause, really, to just think, to stop. And the next stage starts for me on Monday. And I rest when I need to, and I talk to people when I can. I wanted to get my thinking down, or my journey down on this video. I'm not very good at it, but I just wanted to share it. I think that's it. I think I'm up to date with where I'm at. And I will do the next stage when I begin my chemo and that phase of the journey. But I want to give thanks to God at the end of the day. Thanks to God for the NHS. Thanks to God for quick diagnosis, thanks to God for speedy surgery and treatment that just happened so quickly that, yeah, has left me in a bit of a whirlwind because it all happened quickly, but it happened quickly. And I thank God that it didn't get to stage 4 cancer where it was spread through my body, but it's caught at stage 3, that they've removed everything visible. I thank God for those things. I thank God for every day. I thank God for my family and my friends. I thank God for my life. And I want my life to count. I want my life to be a testimony to his grace and his love. And if nothing else, I come through the other side. Yeah, that's what I want. I want to be stronger in him. And yeah, I do want an end to the trials and tribulations I've had. I do. I want an end to those. I want some times of just being and enjoying life and whatever that looks like at the end of this. Just want to come into the time of God's blessing. That's what I'd like. So if you pray for me, pray for full health, that this chemo will kill off anything and that God will bring some blessing my way. Please. I'm smiling and laughing because those that know me well know many of the trials and tribulations and things that have come my way. Some don't, but pray anyway for the blessing. And God does love to bless us. He says he loves to bless us. He's our Father. Doesn't withhold any good thing from us. So yeah, that's me. I'm Sarah. I'm 51. Yeah, and here I am. I feel better now actually than I did before the op, I have to say. I felt quite rough and I'd been quite unwell without realising it, and I do have my appetite back, which I'm grateful for. I like my food. And I feel more myself than I did before. And I hope to feel even better after the chemo, and I've come out the other side of that. So that's my journey so far.